Information grid, for those of you that don't already know this, is the NSA data collection on everyone and everything about them. This will be the database for the HTA, or the Human Terrain Analysis Tool, which will formulate the HTS, or the Human Terrain System, for mastering the human domain. Software engineers at MIT, while developing AI in a standalone environment, expressed a dire warning regarding the implementation of this type of technology in a distributed network environment. It is now apparent the military-industrial machine has ignored that warning.
Man is on a quest to build robot warriors, real terminators that are stronger than people, faster, able to make their own decisions. Your military has already tested prototypes. But how do we get from this to this?
The future of robots in my mind is to completely revamp the way we think about battle.
They should be able to pick up 200-pound weights hundreds of times and not even be able to notice it.
This series investigates how the impossible is becoming possible and what it might mean in the future.
At what point do we give the ability to make a kill decision to a machine?
Self-replicating robots could lead to the end of the human race.
Are you happy with this?
Iraq, 2007. With an unrelenting campaign of bombings and hit-and-run attacks, insurgents have plunged the country into chaos and foiled the world's most powerful military. At this dark hour in the war, the U.S. Army launches a top-secret mission to deploy a new type of soldier never before seen in battle. Killer droids, known as Swords Robots.
When SWORDS was deployed in 2007, it was a revolutionary attempt to use unmanned ground systems with lethal force. I'm Bob Quinn, Vice President of Military Robotics, Kinetic North America. 60% of casualties to American forces during the first 5 years of operations in Iraq had to do with first contact with the enemy. The robots can help fix the enemy's location, allowing the soldiers to finish the enemy without being exposed themselves.
The Swords Robot program is named after the Special Weapons Observation Remote Direct Action System. It was commissioned by the U.S. government and Pentagon's High-Tech Planning Division, known as DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. DARPA's mission: keep U.S. military technology ahead of our enemies. They've been the force behind such previous military advances as the M16 assault rifle, the stealth fighter jet, and the internet.
DARPA's role is to be visionary, to look at the way things are currently done, and to think outside of that box.
Just what is required to perfect real Terminators? That's Impossible has assembled a to-do list. To be combat ready, they would have to mimic the human body. See, walk up stairs, even climb like a person, and be able to think, at least enough to distinguish enemy from friend, and make decisions. Another key: they would be expendable. Swords is DARPA's first step in that bold, somewhat frightening future. It cannot think or climb yet, but it can see, in a way. Swords has video cameras for eyes, which transmit real-time images of its surroundings to a human operator. It's radio-controlled, using 2 joysticks, one for movement, the other for firing weapons. All an operator has to do is pick their target, lock the weapon system in, and shoot. In the classified Iraq operation, the 3 Swords robots were trucked in by an armored vehicle as part of the Army's 3rd Infantry Division. Each robot was armed with an M249 light machine gun. They were positioned in strategic locations outside Baghdad. Taking cover a few hundred yards away, the soldier assigned to operate each robot using a joystick waited for the command to open fire. Reportedly, that's when something went wrong.
Recently, a story emerged suggesting that a Swords combat robot had swiveled its guns towards friendly troops, prompting it to be withdrawn from Iraq. I'm Nick Pope. I worked for 21 years at the British Ministry of Defence. And there is huge controversy about this. There are different stories being bandied around, all sorts of rumours and denials.
There were comments that were taken from certain Pentagon spokesmen. Under testing circumstances, these robots actually started to turn their guns on some of the soldiers there. I'm John Rennie, Editor-in-Chief of Scientific American. Everybody involved is saying that that is not at all what did happen.
Kinetic, the manufacturer of Swords, opened its headquarters and provided exclusive access to its latest battlebot called Mars. It's similar to Swords and a window into how both work. Mars is more heavily armed than Swords, packing an M240 machine gun, 50 caliber M82 sniper rifle, and a 40mm grenade launcher. A Terminator on treads. Like Swords, it's sent into battle by wireless remote control. Lead designer Dan DeGuire has agreed to demonstrate it for the first time on television.
It's basically a teleoperated system where proportional joysticks move the joystick, a proportional command, and it commands the robot and sends it on its way. Right now, facing us is a backup camera, and you can see it in this corner screen, and any one of these can be pulled up to full view. We have a drive camera going forward, we have a weapon sighting camera, and then we have a pan-tilt camera for situational awareness. In all locations, we know the signal strength, how well is the communications, and we know where it is in lat and long, so we have GPS on that robot, and it's reporting back its position. On top of it, it has a rotating turret that will rotate 360 degrees, independent of the chassis. The turret rotates at up to 150 degrees per second. It has an elevation capability of -20 to +60 degrees. This is the very beginning of a revolution in how future systems and future wars may be fought.
It's one thing to let machines be attacking people when we're controlling them. It's another one to put machines onto a battlefield and let them exercise their own judgment about who they should be shooting at.
At first, there's sort of an optimistic hope that, maybe humans don't have to die in conflict. The issue can be resolved by something mechanical. And I think, as time wore on and that fantasy evolved, you saw this vision of first optimism that robots could be something better than people, and then turning to pessimism and almost fear that robots could be our destruction.
Today, our robot fantasies are filled with haunting visions of a robot race turning on mankind. But it wasn't always that way. Man's obsession with robots dates back 500 years to the Renaissance and one of the greatest minds to ever live.
Leonardo da Vinci had a wonderful apparatus that was mechanically programmable, and it was used in demonstrations that would roll out on a stage and turn. So this idea that you could have automatons that you could program and that they would do some task